life circumstances that have me move my moment to a Sunday. I am double grateful. I'm double grateful for those that tune in, those that do take the time to have a moment, and those that keep me as a part of their day and their sacredness. So thank you so, so much for that. I'm just going to situate us a teeny bit because you always tell you I can't see anything until I'm live, unfortunately. So I'm making sure that all the optics are great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so blessed and excited to have you with this moment today. It is a very special moment, as I believe all moments are special. But there are some moments that are like they just align up. They just line up due to some classes that I took took some classes yesterday. Shout out to Rachel. Thank you so much for bringing me a part of, making me a part of your world, helping me to be a part of your world and invite me out. But I took some classes yesterday that caused me to push my moment back to today, and today just so happens to be the honorable, incomparable, and crazy, incredible. I was gonna say incredible. I love that too. My word, incredible, fearless, extraordinary birthday of Malcolm X. So happy birthday, major birthday shout out there. And I just felt like it was a divine alignment, in alignment with today's session. We are in a reflection series. We are looking back at it. We are being intentional about our traumas and our histories and the things that we've endured. And we're going back at looking into them. Not good morning, my booby. That's my boy. Hi, son. We're going back at them, not in regret or pain or blame. We're looking back on our traumas in divine alignment and intentionality and exploration. To find truth, to find substance, to growth, right? In order to grow, to have growth. So we've been looking back at it. Boom. And we've been going back over ourselves and finding tools to go back in a healthy and constructive way. And in this reflection series, we're in a 33-week series. We're at week number 31. I think we're at 31 today, or 32. I think we're at 31 or 32. I would have to confirm that. We're 30. Today's 32. Yep, 32 weeks. So we have 1 week, one more week left in our reflection series. And we're moving on to Mayatic Moments, where I'm so excited, where we'll be going through the 42 laws of Mayat and just making them practical and applicable to our lives and our character building and the greatness of self. So super duper excited about that. And that's where we are. So today's healing session, as a part of our reflection series, is entitled Reflect on the Resistance. So what a great topic for the Honorable Malcolm X's birthday, right? Brother X. And being able to go into that. So it's going to be extraordinary. We are talking about resistance. We are talking about rebelling. We're talking about going against things in a healthy way, in a necessary way, in a strategic way, in a way of tools, in a way of support, but like just going against the things that aren't working instead of just going out here going ham on any and everything because we're in a place of dis-ease or dissatisfaction. So let's get up into our moment today. I do want to say, well, let's keep going. We'll go through this first, but definitely, like I said, all great honor and respect to Malcolm X. And I'm so happy to have this moment on his birthday in alignment with resistance. Viva la resistance. So reflect on the resistance. Now, now I get comfortable, okay? Because this is now where I go into kind of all of the meat and potatoes of the subject matter. Okay, so reflecting on the resistance. First off, resistance gets a really bad rep. As a natural born rebel, Aqua Gang, my first nature, my first response to anything is to kind of be like, why am I doing this? Why should I do that? Is there a better way to do it? I'm not as easily like, I'm a rebel at heart, especially if I'm told I can't do something. Ooh, it's just who I am. But I've noticed that in having that as a part of my character, that being rebellious, going against, resisting anything, period. Resistance just kind of gets a bad rep. It gets this, troublemaker, stubborn, insubordinate. I mean, all the words you can think about in alignment with just not being in alignment. It gets that bad rep when resistance is not necessarily a it's not a negative thing used in the appropriate way that it was intended to be used in. So first off, I will say, let's say this. When we think about resistance, I want us to think about like a rubber band. Resistance is in place in order to avoid losing shape or change, in order to keep things as are or to keep order and structure. So when you have a rubber band and you go to pull it and it becomes hard to pull it, that resistance is an attempt to keep the peas, that resistance is an attempt to keep the structure and the shape, the original form. That's what I want us to remember about resistance all the way through and through, right? The resistance is a attempt to keep the original form of things. This in this perspective, this is why resistance becomes natural and necessary. Resistance becomes a part of our defense mechanisms. Resistance becomes a part of our survival or coping mechanisms. So when when we talk about resistance, I want us to keep in mind that really resistance is in place in order to keep the original structure of something. If you get into something that's too small, you've outgrown it, some a shirt or pants or a jacket, it is tough and you can't. That like push is you trying to go against resistance. And the resistance is there in order to keep this object, this material from tearing, ripping, stretching. Stretch marks are a major symbol of resistance, right? This is your skin resisting at some point stretch and it's trying to keep your skin intact and then it can't. But the resistance was there. It was a protection. It was there in a protective manner. It was there in a protective way. So when we look at resistance, I want us to be able to see it holistically, right? I want us to look at realistically and holistically look at resistance today. So one aspect, resistance is a survival and coping mechanism. I want us to remember that because a lot of times on your journey and a lot of times throughout your history and throughout your story, times where you are hard on yourself, times where you felt defeated, times where you what in the world? So sorry, guys. That was weird. My phone literally just came forward out of nowhere. So, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Times where you were hard on yourself. Times where you holding trauma. There are points in your history and points in your selfness and in your story where you had natural resistance to something. You had a natural urge to go against. You had a natural rebelliousness to the nature of whatever circumstance you were in, and you're not seeing that for what it really is. You're not seeing that for the healing properties that it expressed or could express in your life or what it could be used for. So we're going to go into that as well. So I want us to look at resistance as an attempt to keep things in their original form, right? Not a negative thing. You don't even necessarily have to see it as a positive thing, but I want us to have just a really holistic perspective. Resistance. Now, a big part of what went into today's episode, well, yes, what went into today's healing session is that I know I'm super late, but I'm literally just seeing the Alabama Riverfront Brawl. I just watched that last week. And I heard about it. I've talked about it with friends and family, but I myself had not watched it. Specifically, not that, I'm definitely not oblivious to what happens with us or to us, but I've learned, I've had a lot of couple of past, 6 months to a year, even further back. I've had some rough times, okay? Definitely lots of healing seasons, lots of growing seasons, lots of transition seasons kind of back to back for me. And I've learned that when I start to get into specific or particular places and spaces, I become very protective of what I consume. And things that would normally overwhelm me, or things that may discombobulate kind of me trying to focus in a more peaceful, more a self-assured mindset. I just don't. So when I saw, like, even though I heard about it, even though I was intrigued about it, I did not have the, at the time I wasn't in the space to like watch a video of violence. I wasn't in a space of watching, turmoil or discord. It just wasn't the space for me. And I've had to really learn. And it's not just that. I mean, crime shows, murder mysteries. There was just so many things I'm like gone without. Putting on my music, listening to my jazz, and things that intrigue me, are curious for me, move forward, blah blah blah, right? So son, yeah, I see my those that watch this in real time. Every now and then I'll get like a what they're calling trolls on the live. Welcome, peace. I pray that even with these trolls, I pray that light and love touch your life and that you grow and glow just because you tuned in today. Okay. You messed with the right person today. Anointed. Hashtag anointed. But now my son is on the live, and for those that watch it aren't watching it in real time, they won't see any of the chat. But my 17-year-old is a nut. So thank you, son. I love your son. Calm it down. Calm it down. I don't pay people no mind. I don't pay chaos no mind. So Ashe. Okay, so now I'm just getting into watching the video. I was watching a comedy stand-up earlier this week, and it referenced the Alabama Brawl, and it reminded me like, hey, you weren't in a place to watch it before, but it's like something you did want to check out when you got into a better space. And so I checked it out. Okay, so many thoughts. Y'all know your girl. Aqua Gang, I have so many thoughts about so many things, but that's not what this is about, and that's not what I'm going after today. What I wanted to specifically draw from that experience, which aided in the birth of this session today, was the spirit of resistance, the spirit of saying no to dysfunction, of saying no to deprivation, of saying no to hardship, to saying no to, again, to things that are counterproductive to your peace and your prosperity, period. The strength and the courage of that. And specifically the 16-year-old who was 16 at the time, who swam across the river, the deckhand that went to go and help his coworker and friend, and then incited all of these, or encouraged many people to join in and assist, or be a part of, what have you, however you want however you want to describe that. My thing was like the resistance, the resistance that he couldn't resist. And that's what today's healing session is all about. The resistance that you can't resist. Embracing it, loving it, honing it, keeping it healthy, making it stronger, making it profitable and contributive to your life and your growth and the next level of your story. The resistance you can't resist. And I felt that it was powerful, and I have extremely wonderful experience and thoughts about what is it? I have extremely wonderful and powerful thoughts about our youth and about their rebelliousness, their natural resistance, about their fire and their fight, and how we as we're turning into elders, and those that are already elders, like, we're gonna need these young, feisty, fire filled, energy filled, passion filled individuals, and they will need our experience and our wisdom and our peace, our love, our focus, our guidance, right? Harmony, mayat. It all, it's in balance. But what I really want to zone in is like, wow, the resistance that you can't resist. Why is it that some of us go against it? Why is it that it's so natural for some of us? How do we keep it in balance? And how can we move forward? Okay. So we're going to get into that today. The first thing is, like I said, the importance of resistance. Getting resistance or rebelliousness out of the bad view of like, oh my gosh, I just don't ever want to be seen as a rebel. I just don't ever want to be seen as, someone who goes against the grain. I just want so badly to go with the flow. And my thing is, I am a go with the flow type of person, but the flow got to be on fleek. Okay, if the flow is not a healthy flow, if the flow is not a productive flow, if it's not a fair flow, if it's not a meiotic flow, if it's not a glowing flow, I don't go. If that flow don't glow, I don't go. You got it? And being able to stand in that in a healthy way to where it heals you and it develops you and it makes you, it strengthens you for the next chapter of your life. So, that type of resistance just becomes, again, the resistance that you can't resist. It becomes so very powerful for you in your life. So, yes, I talked about just being at the place and being in a position in your life when it comes to saying, I don't feel comfortable with being okay to say that things that make me uncomfortable, I don't have to go into them in a certain way. Things that don't help me grow, things that break me down, things that are wrong for me, saying that I can get myself into a place spiritually, mentally, and emotionally where I can resist them. Resisting things like temptation, resisting things like depression, resisting. So when you grow up, first off, those who have a rebellious spirit and how natural it is for all of us, especially for those of color, right? When you grow up in an environment that is counterproductive, when you grow up in an atmosphere that it does not work in the way that you work, whenever you work, which means productive, results based, forward motion, whenever you are progressing, it's going to be seen as rebellion if you're up against a standard that is anti you, right? Does that make sense? If the standard is tall, all the things, different things that I'm not, right? Barbie, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes, 5'7". If that's a standard, when I come with my kinky curls and my braids and I'm 5 feet even and I'm loud and my eyes are brown and my lips, I become a natural rebellion to the standard. My very presence, my very appearance, my very energy, the fact that I am opposes or creates a conflict for what is, right? And that makes it a rebellion. It makes it a resistance. Why are you resisting this? Dye your hair, perm your hair, dye it, plastic surgery, whatever. Don't resist the standard. And I'm using examples here. I'm not saying anything, about anyone who doesn't look like me, because to each his own, you know what I'm saying? To each his own, we grown. But the just wanting to give the example or really delve into how the naturalness of yourself is a natural resistance to the unnaturalness of external forces. You just being natural is you just being you just being your spirit. Growing up century after century, mindful, I didn't say day after day, century after century, decade after decade, time frame after time, zone after zone, experience after experience, era after era, we are in this counterproductive reality. And when you are growing in a place and a space like that, you are living, you are creating, generations are growing, your family, your story is being told, you become prone to resistance because you're always fighting for that which is different than what is being put forth to you, because it doesn't feel natural to you. Dog eat dog, capitalism, murder, mayhem, war, these things that don't come natural to you, you have a natural place of rebellion within your spirit. And then you are looked at crazy, like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you with your praying self? What's wrong with you with your loving self? What's wrong with you with your hopeful self? I cannot tell you how much, even now in 2024, and your girl has been through a lot, and I've changed some. But even still, with just being an idealist, being a lover, being a woman of Maya, woman of Emoja, how often I still am just like, you better stop thinking like that. You better stop. You can get yourself in this situation, get yourself in that situation. You're going to get, all of these warnings and fear around the resistance of making a normalcy mine that doesn't belong to me. and that doesn't represent me, that doesn't contribute to me, that doesn't assist in my growth and development. And a lot of times we are doing that, and I want us to see where historically we've been forced to do that. Culturally, systematically, socially, we've been put in a predicament, whether it's conscious or subconscious, whether we've intended or not intended. We have been pushed into a place of like resistance, just resisting stereotypes and it's heavy and it's constant. So I wanted us to look into that as we move forward in these different tools of resistance. The other thing is like, okay, so globally, historically, culturally, generally, we can see where this effect has been on us heavy about being compared to these norms, being pushed up, or lack thereof, being pushed up into these boxes of disformation and of dysfunction, and just kind of what it does to your spirit, what it does to your fight. What is it? To put you in a place of always fighting for yourself, always fighting for your truth, always fighting for your freedom. The defensive place that it puts you in, the survival place that it puts you in, the startling position that you kind of always are having to be in to just be you, right? Grace and mercy. That's globally. I want us to look now personally, individually. I want us to look into our homes that adopted dysfunctional. Women and children should be seen and not heard. Violence, domestic violence, abuse of drugs, abuse of food, denial, and Munchausen syndrome, schizophrenia. We can just go down the list of things that took place in our homes or our families or our nucleus or our communities that were turned into some type of norm, right? Neighborhood pollution, drug saturation, police brutality. We just like go on and on and on about growing up from there to here, from this little baby age progressing up into where we are today, and just being able to see like all the things we saw and experienced, all the things that were a part of the narrative, all the things that were a part of the reality that were dysfunctional, all the things that we were never supposed to be exposed to, that were never supposed to shape our theories and thoughts, that were never supposed to shape our positioning, our spiritual positioning, but did. It did. And so I want you to know that you developed as a defense mechanism, as a spiritual being, as a higher existing energy. You developed resistance. And everyone's resistance looks different. Everyone's resistance comes about differently. But I just want everyone to be able to honestly be able to go back through their lives and saying, this is an environment of resistance. I have a Wally Moo, shout out to Baba Imhotep and PLM, much love and light always. Wally Moo, who trained me and taught me, who had a saying that said, brutality breeds resistance. That's so crazy that popped in my head now on today. But what's in there is in there. And what a blessing, So brutality breeds resistance. And when we talk about and we think about resistance and rebellion, again, it gets this bad rep. It gets this bad energy. It gets this calm down, be quiet. Hip hop, shout out to hip hop mama, Princess Best, who's one of my favorite female rappers. And she is a cultural rapper of the arts and tells our stories. But she has a rap called what is it? Oh my God, am I gonna draw a blank on the name? Because now the lyrics are coming to me. She has I'm a rebel, I'm a rebel. I love that one. But she has a rap about Sandra Bland. I'm trying to get the actual name of it, but she has a rap about Sandra Bland. Ego, I think it's called Ego, and she talks about Black women in history when it comes to like death and violence against Black women, and just any atrocities brought against Black women, whether it's in the military, medical fields, on the home front, in their private homes, and public socially, just how the narrative gets flipped, or how the woman gets blamed for her murder, her death, her rape. It's a dope piece of work. extremely incredible piece of work. Shout out Hip Hop Mama. But she has a line where she says, people, when Sandra Bland was murdered, there were a lot of people that were just saying, like, she should just pipe down, like, just be quiet, like, just don't fight back, just don't resist. You know where you are, you know the times, you know what you're up against, you know where you were living, you know about ego, you know about the fragility of it, like, chill, you know. And that's the rep that rebellion gets. That's the rep that resisting gets. It gets this, she was so right, it gets this fear. There's so much fear around it. There's so much worry around it. And there you go. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the spirit I to be. Look, my son has the lyrics in the chat. Forgive me, am I ADH free? Wisdom is putting the lyrics in the chat, and we do love Hip Hop Mama. We love you again, Princess Best. But yes, it gets that rep, right? It gets that energy of just like chill for real. Don't always make a problem. Don't always, and I'm not talking about problem making, and I'm not talking about a rebel without a cause. I'm not talking about no just to say no. And we're going to get further into that today. But we are talking about self-preservation and protection. And we're talking about the spirit of self when it speaks to us, when it says hell no. And how we move in that, and how we embrace that, and how we take that into a healthy place of growth and development. So now let's get into the healthy resistance, right? So we talked about the importance of resistance. We talked about the rubber band, how resistance is literally an attempt to protect the original form of something. And healthy resistance, we want to talk about proactive pushes. There are many, many ways we resist disharmony, disunion, and dysfunction in our communities and in this world. Even those of us that are avoidance based individuals, meaning we just won't watch or take part, we don't want to talk about it, we don't want to acknowledge it, whatever stage of that you're in. Even avoidance is a resistance. It is a form of resisting. It's a form of taking part. It's a form of being engaged. It is a form of resistance. We have all types of mechanisms that come out as coping mechanisms, that come out as ways to live and be. We have all types of ways of being that are us resisting, and we don't see them as that. See, when we're saying, oh, I can't talk to this person, when we go into our history and our pain, I can't be around this person. Or even when we come into our current lives and there's things that we struggle with and we can't deal with, and we don't know that we're resisting. You're resisting pain. So you're fighting that person verbally, but spiritually, you're resisting pain. You're resisting vulnerability. You're resisting a risk. And there's things that you actually are resisting that are in alignment with your healing and your development, that if we go at this the right way, you can be brave and courageous to work through it. And we don't get stuck in denial. We don't get stuck in naivete. We don't get stuck in ignorance. We don't get stuck in avoidance. Right, we move forward in practicality, we move forward in resolve, and most of all, we move forward in growth. Who doesn't want to go there? Who doesn't want to be there on the other side of things? So a proactive push. I always would get upset. Excuse me, my grandma Mercy. Yes, live, booba. So Mercy. I always hear where I always hate when I hear when they say like, hey, black people don't care, right? They always would say black people don't care about the violence in their neighborhoods, or they don't care about the ratio of teen pregnancy or single family homes, single parent homes. They don't care about the schools and the school systems. Like there's always this black people don't care, right? Or I'm not going to say always, I've heard it as an advocate for the community and being in community forums and settings. I've had to defend this perspective more than I ever wish I thought that I would have had to. And I'm referencing it here now because I want us to see resistance and how it works even in non-healthy ways, and how we can make it a productive way of making it, of having it work for us. So people would say black people don't care, they walk around, pants down, pollute trash neighborhoods, all the stereotypes, liquor stores, foreign operation in the community, right? And people say, we don't care about it. We don't do nothing about it. We, patronize it. We, live in it. We dwell in it. You may see individuals of color surviving a community and a neighborhood or a circumstance, a set of experiences. You may watch them surviving it and confuse that with being complacent or in compliance or in alignment with it. I can tell you that Africans, people of African descent, here born and raised in America, do not sleep easy with neighborhood violence and brutality, with lacks of resources, with extreme what is it, all of the stereotypes, right? The lack than and the less than. We do not do well with that, and we know that we don't do well because of the violence rates, because of the alcohol or intoxication rates, because of the people who are okay with a circumstance are okay. Meaning that if I'm in a marriage and I like the way that it's going and I'm in alignment with it, you will see joy, happiness, and productivity. If I'm in a marriage that I'm surviving and that this is kind of all I know, and for whatever issues and whatever historical points of views we can bring in, whatever reason, I'm just here and I'm just going to be stuck in it, you will see someone who uses coping and defense mechanisms to stay in an unhealthy environment. So you will see a woman who is dishonest with herself. Oh, he only does it when he's upset, or it's not like this all the time. You will see someone making excuses. You will see someone, just not being in reality, reflecting, projecting, deflecting. This is someone who's in a situation that isn't healthy and that is not growing and does not like it, but does not know how to operate in it, and uses these things as a form of resistance in order to resist the truth, in order to face the fears, or resist facing the fears. I will create an alternate reality. These are coping mechanisms. Drugs, alcohol, violence, dysfunction, chaos, craziness, profanity, these things are not signs of alignment. These things are signs of an attempt to cope with dysfunction. You don't need a coping mechanism for something you aren't enduring. And if you're enduring something, it means that you are not thriving and living in something that you are taking pride, joy, and that you want. And then a lot of times in these communities and environments, what you are seeing is survival. And what you are seeing, or an attempt to survive, what you are seeing is despair. What you are seeing is some shape of form of attempting to resist. There are many of us who are going into our histories and our past where we were violated, where we were discarded, where we were treated in some type of way that wasn't what it should be. And you will see that many of us will use deflection and projection and these other things that I mentioned earlier, and not understanding that, hey, you are right now resisting. I can't tell you how many times, especially when we get into some of the elder or older generations, I'm like, oh, in denial. It's scary to watch sometimes. Or what in the world was that? Yelling or screaming, defensive, overreacting, insecurity, constant comparison, just the It's like, oh my God, it's just too much to witness sometimes. And you realize, like, you know what? These people are trying to resist the feelings of not being good enough, the feelings of being second class, of being less than, the feelings of not being adequate or up to par, up to standard, of not being loved, of not being worthy, of not being seen, of not being important. Like, people are trying to resist the pain, the past, the experiences. And it looks like people are, crazy. It looks like people are irrational. It looks like you are unreasonable. And really, you are in a toxic or low vibrational state of resistance. Let's raise the resistance to a state of awareness. Let's raise the resistance to a state of beingness that allows you to say, hell no. I didn't deserve that. No, I was better than that. No, I shouldn't have experienced that. But let me create boundaries. Let me create safe spaces. Let me create environments where I now can flourish and grow. Let me create. So, again, we do have many states of resistance that only add to the chaos. We have many stages of resistance that only add to dysfunctionality. But by any means, I don't want anyone to sit around here thinking that we cool with the crazy. I've never, ever, 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 ever seen in my 38 years, and I'm not talking about 38 years of just sitting back and relaxing. I'm talking about a researcher. I'm talking about a warrior scholar. I'm talking about an involved advocate, a community member, a community leader. I'm talking about somebody in the mix, as much as I can be sometimes in the way I don't want to be. I'm saying I have never, ever, 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 ever seen us being cool with the crazy. When we adopt and align with the dysfunction, we we experience insanity. It is so blatant, our dysfunction. It is so blatant, our outer worldly, outer bodily actions and position. It is disheartening, to say the least. But what it is not is that we are not cool. We are not okay. We do not care. We don't walk around here whistling. We walk around here worrying. We walk around here weary. So that means that there is low vibration resistance. Let's raise the resistance. What does healthy resistance look like? Healthy resistance looks like a proactive push. Healthy resistance is a proactive pushing. Healthy resistance is understanding upfront, having honest conversation and reflecting with yourself and with others when necessary, that you are in a counterproductive society that doesn't see your way of being, your way of doing, your way in Giayatu, that doesn't see it as correct, that doesn't see it as functional, that doesn't see it as appropriate. And because you understand that, you are not reactive. You don't have a reactive resistance, which then causes some pop off. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't start nothing, won't be nothing, but these people gonna start. It's gonna start. You know what I'm saying? Like, starting, it never stopped. It never stopped. So don't start nothing, be nothing. It's being in a place of knowing it's always gonna be something, right? It's always gonna be something about me being something. Bars. It's always gonna be something about me being something. And I don't want to have reactionary resistance. I would like to have proactive push. Understanding where I am, not in a way that I pipe down and get in line, but that I move accordingly, that I strategize significantly, and that I am purposely present in myself. I don't walk out the door without understanding the environment, without understanding the climate, without understanding that the enemy looks like the opposite of what's being pushed. So if the enemy looks like the opposite of the standard, what does that make me? And I'm not saying to come in again defensive, reactive. I'm saying I'm proactively pushing. I'm not easily swayed. My Wally Moo always, one of my favorite lessons of my Wally Moo is the immovable mover. I know you're going to say something about my unks. I know you have something to say about my million babies. I know you have something to say about my unique name. I know that there's something, some way that I am needing to conform or contort or to, in some way that you want to configure me. And I have proactive push. I stand in a truth. I speak in a truth. When you see me eat, when you see me engage, when you see me celebrate, you will see a consistent truth in that you don't even have to try to come and offend what it is that I am, because I am proactively pushing my way through. I am not passive about who I am. I am not passive about what I stand for. Now, I don't necessarily have to be aggressive. Like I said, don't start none, won't be none, but I know where I am. And so when it comes to culturally, generally, we get to a point where we can say we can have healthy resistance. We can say like, hey, I don't take part in this. I don't engage in that. I'm not, and I'm talking about even the debate. I'm not debating about things that don't have anything to do with me. I'm not going to be poked and prodded, because who I am, I've been proactive about pushing myself forward. I've been proactive about pushing my agendas or my theories or my thoughts. I've been proactive about pushing my spiritual focus. I am proactive. I don't just become who I am when you say something about it. I don't just like have to show you who I really am. I just am proactive about pushing forward within myself and within my reality. This is healthy resistance, right? Because again, like I say, resisting reality results in further dysfunction in so many ways. But I want you to know, I know why you resist reality. And I also want to affirm and validate. We'll get to that in necessary resistance, okay? But I just want to say, like, when it comes to having healthy resistance, we're talking about it is okay to be proactive in pushing yourself. It is okay in understanding where you are. And again, not having a reactionary resistance. Saying, like, hey, this is the state of this reality. This is the climate that I'm functioning in. And in this climate, I must maintain my peace in this way. I'm proactive about it. You're not about to get me caught off guard and I'm discombobulated. Now I gotta go drink, or now I have to run away. What I'm peace, and thank you so much, love. What I have to do is get in front of myself, not get in front of the chaos, not get in front of capitalism, not get in front of all of these things. I'm saying, if you out there fighting like that, you know what I'm saying, do what you got to do. But I'm saying personally, we talked about being proactive, having a proactive push on healthy resistance, again, globally and generally. Personally, being proactive means understanding also the family you were born in, understanding the trauma patterns of your family, understanding the historical umbilical cords, if you will, of trauma in your family, the DNA transfer from generation to generation, a generation of abuse, or a history of struggle. History is a history of poverty. And I'm not saying that's our history. Please believe that's not our history as a people. I'm saying our experiences in this reality of this land and the things that we've had to endure and fight. And I mean rapes and lynching and murder and poverty and degradation. You know what I'm saying? And then you take it into your actual families, and families that have physical, emotional, social, physiological trauma. My words will come out, that are passed on from generation to generation, rules and ideas and traditions and rituals, not spiritual or not productive in nature. I mean, rituals like, and I'm not judging, but I'm saying you have people that will celebrate. We've heard this in the past. People throw a party for someone coming out of jail, but not promote a party for college, or people will meet up at a funeral or a wedding but not meet up for anything else in between to stay connected to family. I'm saying these types of dysfunctions that have been picked up from the breaking down of family, that have been picked up from the honing in of trauma, the extensiveness, that's what I'll say, the extensive excessiveness of trauma and dysfunction in our communities, that have caused a dysfunction, if you will, in operation, that will just cause a resistance of reaction, reactionary resistance, which only further exasperates what it is that we're dealing with what it is that we're struggling with and what keeps us here. And I want you to know that in your journey, when you are sankofaing, when you are looking back, when you are condemning yourself, when you are judging yourself, when you are holding yourself to your 6-year-old self, your 10-year-old self, your 19-year-old self, I want you to know that we're in a place of not understanding anything other than reactionary resistance, because you are a survivor. You are a warrior. You are a fighter. And you fought for yourself, whether it was in silence, whether it was in compliance, whether it was in avoidance. You fought for yourself still. You resisted. I told you the incredible, honorable Mama Maya Angelou stopped talking for 5 years after experiencing great trauma. Just stop talking. This is resistance. This is a form of resistance. This is a way of saying, I'm not okay. Everyone, again, has this perspective of rebellion and resistance, and it looks this one way. And it is not this one way. And a lot of your healing and release is wrapped up in your resistance. And I want us to have better tools. I want us to have freer reign over our resistance. I want us to look at it and to love it and to embrace it. I have the ability to say, no, this doesn't work. It doesn't work for me, and I have the power to change and recreate and manifest a reality that does work for me. I don't have to resist in dysfunction and further add to the dysfunction. I don't have to resist and regret and further add to the regret. I can resist in power. I can move around the things again, and I can create the reality. It is okay. This is where we get into necessary resistance. It is okay. Listen, necessary resistance, child. Look, the New Color Purple has a song in it called Hell No. Okay? As you probably already knew, for those that know your girl. One of my favorite songs in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Hell no. Being able to stand up to life and say hell no. This is important. Why? Because not only do we need healthy resistance, not only do we need to understand the significance and the importance and the historical relevance of resistance, the cultural and personal healing relevance of resistance, but we also need to be very, very, very clear on the necessity of resistance. Life is a gift. Life is a beautiful gift. We come in it and we fight to keep it forever. We do anything we can to have more of life. If you are in a life that you hate, that is counterproductive, that is, what is it called? An oxymoron, right? It's oxymoronic. Life and hate. If you are in a life which is a gift, a life of exploration, a life of obtaining, a life of being, breathing, experiencing God is what life is. This is why life is meant to be joyful. We came here to experience the Creator and become creation, Creator. Bobby and Motep is all up in my joint today. I can't even talk without them coming out. You know what it is? Because it's Malcolm X's birthday, and I used to always joke how Malcolm X would always reference the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and now like Bobby Motep is always, but the Creator, one of my favorite ones that he does, Creator created creation by becoming the creation created, right? One of my favorite teachings from my Walimu. And I'm saying we are here to do that job, right? We're here to do that job of growth, and we're here to do that job of supreme leveling of self, leveling up of self. So if you came here to experience God, creation, you came here to become one with Ji and Yame, with creation, and Netta, whatever you would like to, you know what I'm saying, supreme energy. You came here for that, but you're focusing, but you're dwelling, but you're living in the low, meaning that you hate life. You don't find fulfillment. You aren't finding joy. You aren't finding joy. I want to tell you, it is not okay. This is where resistance becomes necessary. Wanting to take your life, not okay. Hating the life you live, not okay. Living in a reality of suffering, not, oh, it is not cool. It's okay that you don't want that. It's okay that you can't deal in that. It's normal that you can't freaking function in this chaos, right? A place, a life without love, a life without joy, a life without exploration, life without creation isn't life at all, because life is creation. So if you are living in stagnation, if you are living in pain, if you are living in contradiction, you're living in low, you're barely living, that's not okay. And it's okay that you're not okay with that. A lot of people will tell you, just count your blessings, be happy with what you have, be more grateful. It's okay. It's not that bad. I'm saying I do believe in gratitude. I am a glass half full, almost full, listen, about to be there type of girl. But what I'm also saying is that your radar picks up when the spirit is out of alignment with whatever you are experiencing in the physical. And it is okay to hear that radar. It is okay to feel that radar. And it is okay to have resistance against that. There is necessary resistance. There is a hell no inside of you built in to say, this is unacceptable. No, I won't tolerate being disrespected. I won't tolerate being manipulated. I won't tolerate. This is intolerable. And I will resist this. I will not succumb to this. I will not be in alignment with anything less than my assignment, anything less than I am. So if you're in an environment that is counterproductive to you and you're not with it, you ain't supposed to be. If you're in an environment that is violent and breaking of you, and I mean any environment, your own mind is an environment that you're in, that you function out of. If your own mind isn't clear, if your own mind isn't healing, if your own mind isn't nurturing, if your own mind isn't growing, it's in a counterproductive environment. And hell no to that. Hell no. Hell no to violence. Hell no to profanity. Hell no to poverty. And hell no to pollution and toxicity. Like, hell no. There is necessary resistance. And when I get up inside of myself, if I get into a day, if I get into a conversation, if I get into a situation and I start to feel dis-ease, discomfort, this is my resistance. And what did I say resistance was at the beginning of our healing session? It is the attempt to hold the original form of something. Like a rubber band. You're trying to stretch it, take it, move it. And this is the attempt to keep it. When I start to feel this discomfort, there is a way for me to assess whether I'm having necessary resistance or whether I'm having reactionary resistance, and I need to grow this into a more healthy resistance. I will know if this is necessary resistance because I will assess what's being transgressed on or what's being attempted to change. That's all resistance is. In this moment, what is being moved upon with change. If it is something like, because growth is resistance. You have to resist patterns. You have to resist toxic coping mechanisms. You have to resist triggers. Growth is resistance as well. So I have to properly assist. Am I having a reactionary resistance? Like, am I just trying to keep the chaos? Am I trying to keep the familiarity of this chaos? Am I trying to keep away from having to deal with things that are going to be difficult for me to deal with? Am I trying to, like, what am I trying to keep when I start to feel resistance? Now, if I'm trying to keep my peace, then that's necessary resistance. If I'm trying to keep my sanity, if I'm trying to keep protection around my family, I'm keeping my life or their life, if I'm trying to keep everything calm, if I'm trying to keep moving forward, if I'm trying to keep progression, and you trying to come up over here on that, then this is a necessary resistance that I'm feeling. I don't like the way this feels, the way you're talking to me. I don't like the way this feels, because guess what? I'm trying to keep my dignity, my integrity, my queendom. I'm trying to keep what I've healed and what I've worked so hard on and what I've put together and what the Creator has put invested in me. I'm trying to keep that together. So there may be a necessary resistance that goes in place, because you might come out your mouth crazy. You might have some actions where you may be exploitive in your nature, or you may be, aggressive or combative or, destructive. You may be naturally destructive. And if that's coming over here, I'm going to feel I will begin to resist. Don't wait. Don't talk to me. Don't come over here with all of that. This is my necessary resistance. But again, if you are, or if there's an external force that's saying, oh, I'm starting to feel something, why don't you try this new job? Why don't you go on a date with this person? Why don't you read this book? Why don't you start this way of eating? Why don't you think like this? Hey. That is a toxic reactionary resistance, because now something is trying to change the original form, or the form of what something is. And the form of your mind may be that of low vibration. The form of your mind at the time may be that of depression. It may be that of addiction. It may be that of darkness. It may be that of isolation. It may be that of avoidance. And it may need to be being shifted, and you may be feeling the resistance. That's a healthy resistance. Let's resist. I know you want to say something. I know you want to do that. I know you want to go back to that. I know that this is what you know. But let's grow to know something different. Let's grow to know something better. Resist the past. Resist the pain. Resist the pressure. Reflect on your resistance. Go into your resistance. That hell no resistance is there for a reason. It's there for more than a season. Bars. Use that when you need it. Keep it in your back pocket. You still live behind enemy lines. You ain't free. Come on now. Stop talking like that. Stop acting like you okay. It's not okay out here. You can be okay. Internally, spiritually, we will be okay. We will be more than, we will be supreme. That's what I tell my bestie. More than okay. We supreme. We will be supreme. We will be supreme. Light always rises. Light always shines. We will shine. But here's the thing. Keep some hell no in the back of that pocket, because that protects your light. Because that protects your rights. It protects your emotion. It protects your vision. It protects and creates your manifestations. You won't impede. You won't take. You won't destroy. You won't kill, steal, and destroy over these parts. I got a nice healthy hell no in my back pocket. Okay? Couple of them. But then again, when it comes to my growth and my development, I might be urged to say hell no to some things that feel different and strange, that make me feel vulnerable and afraid. And then I need to go into a proactive push. That is when I put things in place every day, intentionally, strategically, ritually, in order to keep a healthy balance of life in order and resistance in place. I am proactively pushing back. I'm not waiting. I know where I am. You don't have to do anything for me to eat right. I don't have, the doctor doesn't have to tell me something in order for me to live right. I don't have to lose a family member in order to treat people right and love people and give forgiveness and grace. Like, I don't gotta do, I am proactive with my resistance. I am have healthy resistance. I put things in place up front to keep me from having to strong arm a situation on the back end. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me for a Sunday moment. We have one more week in our reflection series. Hey, looking back at it, and we'll be moving into myotic moments. I cannot wait. When I tell y'all the work that I have done so much work to prepare us for the myotic moments, and I'm just so excited about it. Myotic moments are coming up in another week. I love you all. Well, we have one more week in this and then the week after that, okay? I cannot wait to see you all next week for another Moment of Harmony. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your love, your light, and your time. Thank you for all those that join in a chat and talk to me and come and sit with me in real time. Thank you for those that watch me on a playback. Got much love for you as well. I am always very grateful. Y'all have a wonderful and extraordinary Malcolm X birthday. Have a great Sunday, y'all.